welcome back to another video on the channel. We are here in Dallas at the new TCH location. I want to play the 2-5 and I want to play it for like 7 to 10 hours. Just put in a marathon session. I don't think I've done one of those in a while since my poker house video, but it's a cool location. I'm going to order some food, park my butt in a seat for like 7 hours and hopefully win around $1,000. That'd be pretty cool. If you guys are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Go check out my other videos. A lot of cool videos have been posted and a lot more coming in the future. Let's get into the hands. Let's go. We hop into the 2-5 game for $1,500. First hand, we look down at Queen Jack offsuit from the straddle. Cutoff opens it to 30. The button and the small blind both put in the call. I defend my straddle, and we are going off 4 ways to a flop, which gives us an open-ended straight draw, King 10-5 with 2 hearts. I start with a check. The cutoff bets out for $75, continuing the aggression from pre-flop, and everybody else gets out of the way. I'm not going anywhere. I have the Jack of Hearts. Additionally, I could back into some sort of flush. I put in 3 green chips, and we are off to the turn, which doesn't help me. It comes a board pairing 10 of spades. That means I'm going to check over to the cutoff, right? No, absolutely not. I'm going to use this card and donk out into him for $125. It's possible I'm able to get a hand like ace-queen or ace-jack to fold, which would be a huge win. Additionally, a king would probably call here, but if another heart or another scare card comes off on the turn and I barrel large, he probably could fold. So if I'm going to have a leading range on turns that are better for me, I'm also going to have some bluffs in there like queen-jack with the Jack of Hearts. I bet out for $125, and the player in the cutoff thinks about it some more, and then ultimately puts in the call, bringing us off to the river. We need to see an ace or a 9, but it doesn't come. It comes the 8 of spades, and the action's on me. Now, is this a card that really changes the texture of the board very much? I don't really think so. I think if he's calling me on the turn, he either has a king of some sort or a flush draw that missed. Both of those hands, I think I can get to fold with a chunky bet on the river here, and that's what I decided to do, a nearly pot-sized bet, targeting any of the King X if I had a 10 in my hand, just going from maximum value, but you can see in this spot, I just have queen high. Can't be giving up here. I bet out for $450, and he goes into the tank, which we love to see. At this point, I'm putting him on some sort of King X, like King Queen, King Jack, King 9, something like that just doesn't want to fold. So your guess is as good as mine as to what he has. Did we just donk out into a 10X that bet out on the flop? I mean, it's possible the way he's playing this hand. To jam here for $1,000 over my $450 bet is extreme strength, never a bluff, and he's going to get rewarded with that $1,900 pot straight out of the gate, losing a huge hand. Not how I wanted to start the session, but we are going to top back up for $700 more. And look at that. To our defense come American Airlines, the Bullets, weapons of mass destruction, and I raise it up to $30. 3 people put in the call, so we are going 4 ways to a flop, and hopefully we can make back that $700 we dusted off in the first hand. A 4-4 deuce board seems pretty great to me. I'm out of position to 2 opponents, so when the blind checks it over to me, I decide to start with a check. Not many turn cards that we will not like, and at this point we're either way ahead of any pocket pairs, flush draws, stuff like that, or we're way behind anyone who has a 4 in their hand. So I don't hate a check here, looking to get value on the turn and river. The turn brings in the 10 of spades. Action checks to me out of the blinds once again. 2 players left to act, and I decide now to go for a check raise. If anyone hits a 10 here in late position, they're going to bet, and I can get a check raise in and go for value. I think betting here is also fine. You definitely probably want to be betting a lot more than checking here, but I get sneaky in this one. I want to get stacks in, and I start with a check. And look at that. It works out pretty nicely when the cutoff bets out for $65. The action folds around to the big blind now, who doesn't call or fold. He raises it up to $200. So I think at this point, the big blind is targeting the cutoff here. When the action checks through to him twice, it's not likely he has a very good hand, and the big blind's a decent player, and he knows this. So raising here pretty much means he has a 10X of some sort, maybe a flush draw, or of course he could have a 4, but I think checking flop and turn with a 4 is a little bit ambitious to put him on. So for that reason, I shouldn't just be calling here. I don't want to call and invite the cutoff in with any flush draws. I need to be re-raising here, and I decide that the right price is not very large. It's $500. It's going to scream strength to the table. Don't need to go large here to get people to fold and clean out that equity. But when I put in the 3-bet to $500, the action's back around to the big blind, and he 4-bet jams for $1,600 effective. Does he think I'm doing this light? Does he have a 4 in his hand? Flush draw 10. Just so many hands that he could have here, and all of them I'm ahead of, except for that 4. And like I said, is he really checking the flop and turn with a 4? Well, we're going to find out. Got to put my money where my mouth is. I put in the additional $1,100. And just like that, we are off to a $3,400 river, which comes a 6 of hearts. Really shouldn't change anything. And it didn't. The big blind turns over 5-4 of spades. So his sneaky play on the flop and the turn got him rewarded. Just like that, 0 for 2 to start off the session. Not how I wanted to go. And we are going to rebuy for $1,500 more. So just like that, we are in for $3,700 into this 2-5 game already. No fear though, in Texas, they play double board PLO bomb pots, which by no means am I an expert in. But look at this, we find ourselves 3/4ing a 3.7K double board bomb pot. Say that 3 times fast, but what that means is we are getting 75% of this because there's 2 boards. We chop one of them and we scoop the other. Just like that, we are back on the gravy train, up to $2,700 in my stack. And I look down at another great hand, pocket kings. Wow. Let's see if we can win with the second best hand ever created. The $10 under the gun straddle is on and I raise it up to $40. The low jack is the only person to put in the call, so we are going heads up, out of position to a flop. And what does it come? Ace high, of course. Can't catch a break in this game. Flop comes ace jack 5 with 2 clubs. We do have the king of clubs in our hand. Oh man, tough board for us to do anything on other than check. I guess we could be betting here and representing aces, ace king, pocket jack, stuff like that. But also from time to time, gotta be mixing in some checks as well. That's what I decided to do, and the villain in the hijack does not take the initiative when check 2, and he checks behind, so it's pretty hard to put him on an ace here. He could have a flush draw, just wanting to see a cheap turn. Could have some random pocket pairs, maybe a queen jack, king jack type of hand. Either way though, we see a free turn card which comes the 4 of spades. And now what do you do here? Do you go for a value bet? Do you check it over once again? I think a check is way too weak, so for that reason I bet out for $40. And the hijack thinks it's too weak to fold. He puts in the call, bringing us off to the river, which comes a board pairing 4 of diamonds. After I check the flop and bet the turn, my line looks a little bit fishy. For that reason, I think I need to bet one more time and try to get called by a jack. We could be value owning ourselves here, and he could have just checked behind with an ace, but I think with 2 clubs out there, that is very unlikely. So for that reason, I bet out for value, thin value to be exact, $55. The opponent puts in the call, and look at that. Thin value gets rewarded. We are taking down the pot when he mucks. $300 coming my way. Gonna need a lot more of these type of hands if we are going to book any sort of win in this session. We are stuck early, but we're going to be resilient and battle back in this vlog. Let's see if we can get back to even. I look down at ace king of hearts now from the hijack, and the straddle is on from our buddy Aaron. Side note about Aaron, you see that mudkip that always protects my cards on the right side of your screen right now? Aaron gave me that mudkip 2 years ago in Austin, Texas for a TCH live stream, and ever since then I've had mudkip with me. So huge shout out to Aaron for giving me the mudkip 2 years ago. Who knew it was going to be such a hit in the vlogs? He straddles it up to $10 and I raise it up to 40 with a premium ace king of hearts. Even though he's a good friend, still got to be putting the pressure on him, and there's no friends at the poker table, as they say. Villain on the button puts in the call, and Aaron is going to defend his straddle. We are going 3 ways out of position to a flop, which comes pretty good for us. King 10-7 with 1 heart, and Aaron checks it over to me. In between him and the button, I decide to start with a check, and the button checks behind, bringing in the 4 of diamonds on the turn. When Aaron now leads out into me for $75, it could be that he's valuing a 10x, a diamond draw, or maybe a king, queen, king, jack type of hand that decided not to 3-bet out of the straddle. For that reason, I like a raise here. When I check the flop, it's going to be hard for him to put me on ace-king because not many players know that I like to check when I'm in between 2 opponents. So for that reason, I decided to come in for a 3-bet and raise them up to $215. At this point, I'm targeting all those worst kings, the 10x, queen, jack, and the diamond flush draws, so really like this raise here. And Aaron decides to put in the call, which isn't surprising to me. No diamond on the river would be pretty sweet, but of course that's what comes. The 5 of diamonds peels off, and Aaron checks it over to me. I think occasionally if he backed into a diamond flush, he might just lead out on this river, so I'm excluding a small portion of flushes from his range. You saw in the last hand that I went for thin value when I had pocket kings. I think I need to go for thin value once again and get value from any of those worst kings that decided to play this way from Aaron's position. For that reason, there's 557 in the middle, and I bet out for 225, getting value from worse. Aaron puts in the call. That means I think I'm good. I think he'd raise all of his flushes and 2 pairs. But no, we are not good. Aaron backed into the good old 6-8 of clubs, having a straight. He didn't raise for value with the 3 diamonds out there. He's a thinking player. I like that just call from Aaron. But what I don't like is $1,000 not going in the right direction. Although if anyone's going to win it at the table, I'd probably choose Aaron for the pot to be shipped over to. Nice hand, man. All right, we have a little bit of salt in the wound here when we pick up the exact same hand. Ace King of Hearts from the hijack. An early position opens it up to $30. One call over to Harry in the low jack, who decides to 3-bet it to $125. Harry's another good buddy at the table. He's from Florida. Florida players play pretty loose, a lot of retirement money out there, and Harry has definitely collected his fair share of it. So when he 3-bets to 125, not really putting him on any sort of amazing hands. Just kidding, Harry, you're a good player. He 3-bets to 125. I 4-bet him to 325. Like I said, don't need to go too large. Probably could even go like 300 or 275 at this point, because a 4-bet is so strong, so he's got to be putting me on a very narrow range. How do we welcome guests in Texas? With the 4-bets, and they fold. We're going to take down the dead money. He shows me the 4 of clubs. So sure enough, I knew he was full of it. And every chip counts in this game, especially when we were stuck around $2,500 early on. Taking down that pot feels pretty nice, and pocket tens also looks pretty nice from my position. This time I'm in the big blind, and the villain in the +1 raises it up to $30. The low jack goes by William. He's another vlog watcher, which means he makes the vlog with that player profile there you see right in front of you. He 3-bets the +1s open all the way up to $85, and the action's back around to me in the big blind. I think calling here is kind of lighting money on fire. Folding seems a little bit weak, especially for the action type of table this is. So if I don't want to fold and I don't want to call, got to be throwing pocket tens into the 4-betting range, and I make it $275. And surprisingly, both players call my 4-bet. So yeah, definitely no shortage of action here in Texas, and especially not at this table. We are going off 3 ways to a flop, which comes Queen 9-7 rainbow. If I'm going to be 4-betting, that means I have a lot of pocket queens, kings, and aces in my range. Occasionally, I'll have ace-queen suited and unsuited, so continuing on this board seems pretty fine, even though I have second pair. I decide to go small here because my range is so narrow, and I bet out for $275. Pretty strange scenario here when, just like pre-flop, both the other players put in the call. The +1 followed by William and the low jack both call. And we are going to see an unnecessarily large pot here, $1,600 in the middle, and the 5 of clubs peels off on the turn. Having been called in 2 spots, it's pretty likely someone has me beat with an ace-queen, king-queen type of hand. Additionally, someone could also have pocket 9s or my favorite hand, pocket 7s. So I think it's pretty natural to want to slow down on this turn, even though it doesn't really change much in terms of the board dynamic. I start with a check. Let's see what the player in the +1 position does. He jams all in for $475, which isn't great news. If William in the low jack decides to fold, I might be able to call off here because the pot is so large. Not really expecting that I'd be good, but when William decides to put in the call for himself, it pretty much seals my fate here. I know he has a queen, and he's probably going to take down this pot. So for that reason, I get out of the way. But let's see what happens on the river. Let's follow the hand to the end. 3 of hearts doesn't really change anything. +1 turns over, pocket 6s, so we would have won that hand if William somehow folded, but we can see he had no intention of folding with ace-queen offsuit. We were so ahead pre-flop, that should have been our pot, but instead it's going to another vlog watcher, William, scooping down that 2.6K pot. Unfortunately, we have to rebuy once again, so $500 more coming out of my pocket and onto the table. We are now in for $4,200, and you can see I have $1,700 in front of me. Not the way I wanted this vlog to go. We were gonna put in an 8-hour session and try to grind up a nice profit for you guys to witness, but instead we are down heaps. No worries though, we are going to keep playing more poker. I'm feeling confident, I'm not feeling on tilt, so that's a good recipe to try to get some money back. I raise it up to $30 from the +1 position with ace-10 offsuit, and we're going to get 3-bet out of the small blind to $80. Action's back over to me. I put in the call, pretty standard so far, and we're going off to an ace-high flop, which comes ace-6-3 with 2 spades. The opponent bets out for $120, and when I make top pair, not doing anything other than putting in the call, I toss in $120 with 5 chips, and just like that, we are off to the turn, which comes the 9 of spades. Not the best card. I'm not really putting him on a made flush right away, although he could have that. But But at the same time, if he has any strong pocket pair like kings, queens, jacks, there's a good chance he does in fact have a spade in it. If you look at my hand in the bottom left corner, you'll see I do not have a spade. So when he checks it over to me, I think the right play here is to put money in, protecting my hand against any of his pocket pairs with a spade in it, or any of his worse aces that also have a spade in it. I really like my thought process here. I bet out for $230, and the opponent thinks about it for a healthy amount of time before ultimately putting in the call. So we are playing a $900 pot, and off to the river, which comes a board pairing 3 of diamonds. An absolute brick, definitely what we wanted to see. When he calls me on the turn, he could have a better ace, he could have a worse ace with a spade in it, or a pocket pair with a spade in it as well. He checks it over to me now for a second time in a row. And at this point, I could go for thin value. I think it'd be pretty thin, so I decided to take my showdown value, get to a cheap showdown here for $900, see if I can win. And look at that, my intuition was correct on the turn. Great call by me going for value with pocket kings. I don't think he would have called another bet here, but look at that, he had the king of spades in his hand, so if I check back on that turn, man, I'm just giving him a free card to improve. Love that bet for $230 on the turn, and we are getting rewarded with that $875 pot. All right, this might be the hand of the night. We get dealt pocket aces for the second time tonight. We're 0 for 1 with them, but we're gonna try to make that 1 for 2. When we look down at them from the cutoff, there is a raise from the low jack up to $50, and music to my ears, Mallory, aka the TCH livestream wizard, she 3-bets the low jack up to $160. Man, what a dream spot. You look down at aces and you already see a 3-bet out of the hijack. Definitely got to be 4-betting here. How large do I need to go? Not too large, like I said earlier. 4 bets are always strong, so I decided to go less than 3x to the tune of $415. Low jack gets out of the way and the action's back over to Mallory, who thinks about it for a little while. That $415 bet represents around 50% of her stack, so I wouldn't blame her for just getting it in here, but she decides just to put in the call, which means we are going heads up in position to a flop, which comes ace 9-7. Bang! We flop top set of aces. The only caveat is that there's all diamonds on the flop, so when she checks it to me, I think it's a pretty no-brainer, all-in jam from my spot. I want to get the money in here. She has around $570 effective, and if she has pocket kings or queens with a diamond in it, like that last hand, got to get the money in now. No sense in slow playing. We decide to rip it all in. Mallory thinks about it for a while before ultimately committing her stack to the middle. Just like that, we are in a 2K pot. We really need to win this if we have any hopes of getting even on the session. No diamond, please, dealer. The turn and river come absolute bricks, and we turn over pocket aces. She taps the table, mucking her cards. And even though it's against Mallory, a good friend here at TCH, we're still pretty stoked we're taking down this 2K pot, which definitely helps stop the bleeding. Pocket aces make top set, but don't feel too bad for Mallory. We'll check back in with her at the end of the session, and it looks like she did pretty well for herself. All right, usually it only happens in live streams, but at this table, we got like 4 or 5 of the live stream players from TCH, so we're gonna play the nit game. If you're not familiar with the nit game, it's basically the stand-up game, which means every time you win a hand, you get to sit down or throw in the nit button in this case, and the last person holding the nit button owes everybody at the table $25. There's 8 other people at the table, so if I lose, it's $200 out of my stack. It's not a cheap game to play. It definitely incentivizes a lot of action. Sturdy, who is a regular on the TCH live stream, he raises it up to +2, and the action's back over to me from the button. I decide to 3-bet him with ace deuce of diamonds to $110. We're going to get a cold call from the small blind and a call from Sturdy, who defends his open raise, and we are going 3 ways in position to a flop, which comes 4-3 deuce with 1 diamond. When both players check it over to me, I'm going to go for a c-bet here of $150. I have bottom pair, a straight draw, backdoor flush draw. I just want to win this hand and get rid of that nit button in front of me and essentially make another $25 in this hand. Both players get the memo. They both fold. You have to turn over your hand when you're playing the nit game, so I do that. Get rewarded with the pot, get rid of the nit button, and yeah, pretty great to get that one over with. All right, $3,400 in my stack. We're still stuck a little bit on the session, but definitely crawling back in the right direction. Really proud of myself for not giving up when I was down almost $3,000 early on. Sturdy opens it up under the gun to $25, and Randy, an absolute legend here in Dallas and always plays on the live streams with me at TCH. He calls the open from Sturdy from the +1 position, and the action's on me in the cutoff. I decide to come in for a 3-bet. I could occasionally also be just calling. Probably isn't a bad decision to go either way. In this spot, I decide to 3-bet it to $100, And we get a call from Cody out of the big blind for $100. Let's see if Sturdy or Randy decide to come in as well. Well, Sturdy decides to come in, but it's not for a call. He decides to 4-bet now to $450. A very, very strong move by Sturdy. If Randy gets out of the way, I'm probably just going to be folding. But there's a reason why Randy is known as a legend in these streets. He decides to put in the call for $450. He called Sturdy's $25 bet before in the hand. Now he's going to call his 4-bet to $450. And if Sturdy's calling, I can't be folding. I put in the call for $350 more. I know Sturdy has me beat at this point, or if not, he has ace king or ace queen suited. So we're basically in a flip situation. When I put in the call, let's see if Cody does as well. Sure enough, Cody realizes he's getting great pot odds, puts in the call. We are going 4 ways to a flop with $1,800 in the middle. The flop comes 4-4 deuce, so we do have an overpair, which is pretty great. Although at this point, Sturdy's 4-bet raising range is going to have a lot of overpairs that have me crushed. Cody checks it over to Sturdy, who jams all in for $1,500. If he had ace king or ace queen, I don't really think he's doing that for $1,500, unless he's just off of his rocker, but it's Sturdy, so you never know, man. He's a fun player. He could just be ripping it in here with ace king. The only ace king that makes a lot of sense to me is ace king of clubs. When Randy gets out of the way, the action's on me, and even though I have an overpair, I was pretty much just calling the additional $350 pre-flop to hit an 8 and cooler an opponent. I don't want to be stacking off here for $1,500 more against Sturdy's very, very strong 4-betting range. So I make a disciplined fold here. Let's see if Cody puts in the call. Cody does not. He folds, and we are never going to know what Sturdy has. It's possible that we had him beat, but I think it's not so likely. I think I just saved $1,500 in that hand. All right, 3 hands to go in this session. Let's see if we can get back to even. We look down at ace king offsuit from the small blind. The straddle's on. Under the gun raises it up to $30. Sturdy decides to 3-bet to $125. And Sturdy 4-bet me in the last hand, so we're going to give him a taste of his own medicine. And I decide to 4-bet him up to $400. And he puts in the call, returning the favor. Off to a flop, heads up out of position, which comes queen 8-8 rainbow. I bet out for $375, as I'll expect to have a lot more of the overpairs and strong queens in my range. He's going to have some 10s, 9s, 7s, a lot of hands that can't call a lot of streets of betting. So I bet out here on the flop, he folds, and we take down that $845 pot. Third time of the night that we've seen this exact hand, ace king of hearts now from the button, and Randy opens it up to $35. I decide to 3-bet him to $150. The small blind puts in the cold call, and Randy calls as well. We are going 3 ways in position to a flop. Pretty great situation for us, but not when it comes queen, deuce, deuce, rainbow. However, when both players check it over to me, I'm going to bet out small here for 1/3, try to thin the field and get a lot of people to fold. We can also back into a king or an ace and improve on the turn or river, but I think betting out on the flop will definitely get a lot of folds, and maybe someone would even fold a hand like 5s or 6s, which would be a huge win for us. The villain that called out of the small blind finds a fold. Actions on Randy, and he decides to float me and put in the call. Just because Randy's calling here doesn't mean he has a queen. We might not be in the worst situation. He could have some backdoor diamond or spade draws. The 10 of clubs peels off on the turn, and Randy checks it over to me once again. I think because I picked up equity, any jack would now give me Broadway on the river. I like a bet here on the turn. That's what I decided to do. I bet out for $475, which ultimately gets Randy to fold, which I definitely like in the moment, but not when Randy goes rabbit hunting and asks to see the river. It comes the jack of hearts. So if Randy calls on that turn, we could have gotten a lot more on the river with the jack of hearts, but I won't be greedy. I'll take down that $765 pot with ace high. And finally, winning a hand with ace king of hearts moves us into the last hand of the night. We're playing against Randy once again, king 7 of clubs, and Randy on the button opens it up blind to $50. King high's got to be good. I put in the call, and we're off to a flop, which comes 8-3 deuce with 2 spades. I start with a check. Randy still has not looked at his cards and decides to bet out for $50. I don't think I could be folding just yet with king high, like I said. I put in the call, and we see the 9 of hearts peel off on the turn. Having just king high, I start with a check once again, and Randy still doesn't look at his cards. He's going to make this hand pretty fun to watch. He bets out blind for $50 once again. If Randy's not looking and betting out for $50 on each street, who am I to fold king high? I put in the call once again for 2 more green chips, and we're off to the river, which is a great card. It gives me a pair finally. It comes the 7 of hearts. I check it over to Randy once again, He bets out $75 blind, finishing off an epic hand. He bets out blind for 75, and now that I made a pair, he could have an 8, a 9, a heart flush draw, a straight, who knows, but I can't be folding when I make a pair. I put in the call, and it looks like we rivered Randy. He had ace high the whole way and was value betting blind. Who knew? But instead, he's pretty stoked to be giving me that $457 pot, and we definitely needed that. Let's see if we have any chance of getting even on this session. With that last hand of the book, we rack up our chips and head over to the cage. But remember what I said about Mallory? Look at that. She made it all the way back after us stacking her with top set. We rack up our chips, head over to the cage, exchanging them for some cold, hard cash. Alright you guys, it's just before midnight, which means we played for 8 hours. That was my goal, but we did not hit our goal of making $1,000. Instead, I got out for $37.13, a net loss of $487 in 8 hours. So not exactly what I wanted to have happen, but at the same time, tried to get that bluff through in the beginning that didn't work. I had pocket aces cracked by like 4 deuce or something crazy. I don't know, that was so long ago, but pretty stoked that I stuck with it and continued to make this vlog even though I was down like 2,700 at my lowest. We kept buying back in, we kept battling, and it almost got even, but ended up losing 487. Still feels like a pretty big win considering how much I was down. Hopefully there's a lot of learning things I can take away from this session, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, the awesome graphics that my editor Lucas graciously puts over all these videos. If you guys are new and made it this far, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Only authentic videos from here on out. We post all our wins and losses, no matter how big or small, and you can always count on that. As always, good luck on the felt, you guys. I will catch you in the next video in a few days. Good luck on the felt. Peace.